Good morning. It is the first day of the Maritime Training Academy and I could not get out of my house because that big old key, I have a hard time with it. So I just climbed out my bedroom window, unlocked the key from the front because I can do that most of the time. I'll find out when I get home later. And then went back in, locked the window, locked my door, and then came out and locked the big door again. And now we're on our way. No time to be late, so do what you gotta do. But we're on our little jaunt to the train. So hopefully the commute goes smoothly. I'm early so that I don't have to deal. But if I miss the ferry, that's it. So we're gonna find out. All right. So right over there is my train station. This little thing you touch it says signal kommt. So we're just waiting for that little red man over there to turn into a green one so we can walk. And there's my train station. So, it is the end of the first day of our basic safety training and it was stressful, but good. I took the train for the first time and then I had to take a ferry and then we just walked a little bit to the training facility, and then today was a lot of intros, and then we got into who gets called to an emergency first and so forth and whatever, and then we had to put on these overalls, let me show you these overalls. And we had to put on a helmet and we had to go through a chute. It's an MES chute, which is like a marine evacuation system. Yeah. Which is like a marine evacuation system. And we had to go down, it's like this big orange chute, and you have to put your hands along it as you go down so that you don't go too quickly, and it's I feel like it shocks you all the time, but it's just an emergency evacuation system for the crew on the ships. So we had to do that today, which was a group of 4 of us had to go to the doctor today and get our medical examinations. By the way, blind. I'm blind. I thought I was not going to pass. They took my contacts out and they were like, "Do you see any numbers?" And I couldn't even see shadow, just white. But it's fine. I passed. And I got my medical exam, and then I walked from downtown. I had no idea how to get back to my train because I was in a different part. We took a taxi because we were a totally different part of town than what I was used to. And so I finally got to my train, and I couldn't figure out the machine. I put it on English, and I'm trying to get just a short ticket. It should have been €2, and every ticket is coming up €16. And so the nice gentleman behind me finally was like, "Where are you trying to go?" He got me my ticket. We also got to go into lifeboats today, and these lifeboats are supposed to seat 150 people, and it's tight, but I got to try this cookie, this life sustaining. It's has over 2,000 calories in this one cookie, but it's so dry that the guy said it dehydrates you. So I was well, that's good. And then they also showed us the emergency water thing. Actually, I have one. Give me a second. So these are water packets that they distribute, and you only get when these start to run low, you get 2 of these for an entire day, which is only 100 milliliters of water. So don't get stuck. So I obviously made it home, and I had a great first day, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow for sure, but first I am looking forward to some sleep. Today was all about fire safety. So we had a professional firefighter come in and teach us 7 hours of fire prevention and what to do when a fire happens and all that stuff. So we did a lot of lecture and then some hands-on stuff. We actually got to go outside and extinguish some fires with some CO2 fire extinguishers and also some water ones. But we couldn't use, and a water hose too, but we couldn't use the powder extinguishers because it's polluting. The river is right next to the facility, so it would pollute, so we couldn't do that. But same thing, you know. And then we also did 2 different smoke drills where we had a team. The first time it was a team of 2, and I was the leader, and we had to walk through like this like box that they had filled with it was theater fog, theater smoke, so it's not like toxic to you. But I walked in and took a breath, and it completely, like, I was supposed to talk to my partner, and I'm like coughing every other word. So the first container was easier, and then we went in a second container with a group of 4, and I led again. I don't know why my team lets me lead, but this one was even darker, and instead of like doorways, it was actually like we had to feel around. There was like a porthole we went through, one wall, and the next wall was like a tunnel that you had like we were like too tall to even crawl in. And we went through that and had to go through, and I breathed through my nose that time, and I didn't cough in that container, which was good. A really lovely girl named Yulia in our class, she put on an entire firefighter outfit for us to see, and to see how long it takes to put that stuff on and why they need so much training and all that stuff. But obviously we will not be wearing that on the ship, but that was just kind of for fun. We did get to see some of that too. And then I had a traditional, what I would call a traditional German lunch, like what I thought I was going to be eating when I came to Germany, which was just 1 bratwurst, just a little sausage, and then a potato salad. And I just figured every salad here was going to be full of mayonnaise, and it was pretty good. It didn't disappoint. So that was my lunch today. Tomorrow we're doing swimming drills, so I'm looking forward to that. Day 3 has come and gone. We this morning went to a public pool, a swimming pool, and we had to wear our life jackets and jump into the water and practice like we were only at like 3 meters, which like, well, if you actually had to jump from the ship, like the smallest is like 10 meters, whatever. And we just had to hold our life jackets down and feel what it was like for that. And then we also did, we had these overalls on, and we had to tread water without the life jackets to feel the difference between when we were using a life-saving appliance and when we were not. And then we learned different like survival techniques to like how to stay in a group so we don't drift away from each other, things like that. A couple different formations you could do. And then we also had to learn things like if you have a casualty or somebody with hypothermia, like a different position you can lay in so that you can keep that person out of water or from not drifting away, things like that. And then we went to a different pool, which was much colder, and we had to get ourselves out of the water and into a life raft, into a big life raft. And then we learned how to operate it once we're inside, like what comes with it, if we are using it right away, or maybe if we find one floating, like how to see if there are damages or repair things or whatever. And then we went back to the classroom and we learned about crowd management. And while we were learning about crowd management, a group from another room who they're all returning members but having to take the class again because it's either expired or whatever, and they did an evacuation of us, so we got to kind of like mess around with them and act a little bit annoying to see how they handled a large crowd, like trying to get them to the muster stations and things like that. And little did we know we now have to do that tomorrow, and they get to do that to us, so we were a little obnoxious, and now we're gonna get payback tomorrow. But they had to load us into the lifeboats and things like that, and then that exercise was over, and then we just went back to the classroom and did a lot more theory behind things. We had to watch this like film of like real people's footage of the ship like capsized of the Concordia, and that was very terrifying and a horrible like end. It was like end of movie, time to go home. So there's that. But tomorrow we're just doing more crowd management things. I think we're gonna play with some flares. So. Here we are, the end of day 4, and as you can see, I'm getting more and more exhausted as the week has been going on. I just can't catch up on my sleep really, and I'm getting like 4 hours a night, and I'm just tired. But I've been really paying attention in class because I want to be able to, you know, survive a situation, or at least be able to help people in an educated way. So I've really been trying to pay attention, and I guess it's just making me tired. So. But anyway, this morning on the ferry, we actually passed by a docked AIDA ship, which was super cool. It's my first time seeing one in person, and even though it's not my actual ship, it's actually the size of my ship. It's in the same class, so it was really awesome just to see what it's like and what the beautiful lips in the front look like in person, and you know, it just made it more real, made me feel like, oh yeah, that's what I'm here for, and that was exciting. And so when we got to class, we had to do some theory, and then we actually had to do our evacuation drill. And the Germans, they just have a much more compliant disposition, you know, much more than the Americans or even like the British that are in my class. Like, we gave them much more of a hard time than they were able to give us. They just, I think it's just something, they just, you know, want to follow the rules. Like, they tried, and they, a little bit, but nowhere compared. We deserved much worse. So it went really great, and we actually had to wear our crew baseball caps for the first time today, and we all know how I look in hats, so I have to wear it every time we're in an emergency or just every drill, so perfect. And then we got permission from the police to go outside and set off some flares and some smoke signals, and only 4 people got to do flares in my class, and I've really been trying to volunteer for everything because you never know when you'll get to do something like this again. So I actually got to shoot off the flare, and I got the entire pin out of the front. Believe it or not, not everybody was able to do that, but I pulled the whole pin. Victory. And then we had to do like theory on procedures for safety and also for security on the ship, depending on like the threat level that's on the port or in the country that we are going to, and also the threat level that could be on the ship, possible on the ship, whether from a crime or whatever. And so we went to a lot of theory like that, and tomorrow is the test, so I need to study a little bit, but I'm feeling good about it. But anyway, here goes nothing. So can you tell it's been raining all day? My hair is just getting a little more frizzy, but today is the worst weather we've had so far, just kind of misting all the time, and like taking the ferry in the mist is delightful. But anyway, it was our last day of our basic safety training. So this morning we had one more hands-on exercise to do. We actually got to go up, we were lifted by a crane. And this would be like a simulated helicopter rescue, like if I were to be floating in the ocean, and if someone were to come down, this is the way they would do it. So my trainer was actually using the technique that would happen if there was a human to help you. If they had just like sent you down the ladder, you would have had a different technique, but we got to do that today. They took us from the top of the ship there down to the ground. And then in the afternoon, it was time to take our tests, and it was separated into 3 separate tests, one on security, one on safety, and one on crowd management. And I actually got 100% on all 3 of them. So I have passed. I have all of my certificates coming in the mail. That is it. I'm allowed to embark now. We passed. Yeah, we passed, Carrie. Yes, passing. Woohoo! Victory. Yay! So now we're moving on to rehearsals. Tomorrow starts our rehearsals, and we're diving right on in, and it's full steam ahead. I don't have a day off for the next foreseeable 14 or 15 days. So it should be a lot of fun. I know this video was really long, but thank you so much for sticking it out, and I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.